and testing.
Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with fast scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. We transmit on 70 centimeters. It's a crossband repeater and spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. To find out more about the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, Google WW7ATS. Google WW7ATS. That will take you to our homepage on the internet. There you'll see the exact frequencies we transmit on and receive. Also a little background on the club. Also on that opening page you'll see a link to YouTube where we stream our nets held Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. Also, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 for our voice transmissions. And note, a tone of 103.5. Again, a tone of 103.5 for this net is needed on that repeater. So I'll pause in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact before our net gets fully underway. This is Dave, KD7CYM. Hearing none, again, Welcome to the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. Again, I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Signed in by video link already is Ron, KD7QKU, Bob, K9PQ, Jim, N7QO, James, WW7N, and myself, Dave, KD7ZYM. Is there anybody else wishing to check into the net this evening? None, welcome, and if anybody else would like to join in, feel free anytime to contact the net, and we'll see if we can get you into the rotation. Let's start off with Ron, KD7QKU in Tacoma.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Good evening to everyone. Ron, KD7QKU. Well, I was just trying to think of what I've done since I saw you last. I guess we went out to Mike's on the Key Peninsula on Sunday afternoon, and we had dinner. We got pulled pork sandwiches, and then it was his mother-in-law and his father-in-law's birthday. I don't know if their birthdays on exactly the same day, but they celebrated like it was. So, and then Mike had got a hold of a croquet set someplace, so he insisted that we all play croquet. Well, it's his lawn is, you know, it was just natural. It was something he never planted. He just started mowing it, and it's pretty rough, and the balls would not go decent at all. So it was a terrible game, but we endured and got through. Trouble was, it was out in the hot sun, and it was pretty warm that afternoon, so I got hot. So then on Monday, we went out to Morton Lake, which is out by Covington. Jim knows where that is, out by where Jim Che lives. So we were out there. Every time I go out there, I pass this little sign that says airport, and I think that must be where Jim's at. One of these days, maybe I'll get there early enough I can take the airport, follow the airport sign and see where it comes out. But anyway, so that's what we did. Lake Morton, their house is on the west side, and it looks towards Mount Rainier, so you can sit there in their little grassy spot, and you can look at Mount Rainier. It's just absolutely a beautiful sight. There was a few people out on the lake. The sad thing that happened there is that our friend Merlin and Diane have their fifth wheel out there, and they've had it out there for quite a few years now. And their sister-in-law owns the property, and she inherited from her folks, and they were going to build a house, so they built this two-car garage, but then the parents never built a house, so they turned the two-car garage into an apartment. She decided here the other day that she needed the electrical panel and stuff redone, so they redid the electrical panel. Maybe you heard me talk about this. And the outlet that Merlin had put out for himself by his motorhome, he put conduit in it and wired it so he could plug his fifth wheel in the motorhome. Anyway, when the electrician redid the panel, they hooked that outlet up to 220 instead of 110. So everything was plugged in, and it burned everything up. It burned his hot water tank, it burned his air conditioner, it burned furnace, TV sets, clock radios, anything that was, it burned out the converter that converts the 110 to 12 volts. So anyway, it cost him, he had to have a mobile repair guy, RV repair guy, come out there. And he's the one that discovered it was 220 instead of 110. Should have been 30 amp at least, you know, maybe 50 amp, but it was 30 amp is adequate. I think that's what Merlin had originally. But anyway, it cost him $6,000 to replace all the appliances and everything in the motorhome. And he still hasn't replaced some of it, like the TV set and stuff. So that was sad. So anyway, we had a nice visit and then came home. So back to that, KD7QKU.
7QKU, thanks for that report. Let's go to Bob, K9PQ in Bothell.
everybody. It's a beautiful day today. I decided to just leave the windows open and not use the AC today, so it's a little on the warm side. I might actually turn on the AC tonight so I can sleep better. My place just doesn't cool down well. And I've been sort of getting ready. My brother's coming to town on Friday. It's a memorial service for a cousin of ours, which we hadn't actually seen him in a very long time, but his ex-wife is really, we're close with her, and she lives here in the Seattle area, so my brother Keith's coming into town for the weekend, and I may not be available for the Saturday night net. It's a little bit iffy whether I'll be home in time, so we'll have to play that by ear. I'll try and communicate with you as best I can with how it's looking. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on around here. Otherwise, not a whole lot. Just kind of trying to get things ready for Keith, get a bed made and get things cleaned up a little bit. A little more presentable. You know how it goes. Okay, I'll send it back to Ned, K9PQ.
K9PQ, let's go to Jim, N7QO in Covington.
N7QO. Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. Well, let's see. Ron, croquet, man. I don't remember the last time I played that. I think I remember how you still do it. Seems to me we set up these like U-shaped objects, and you're supposed to whack a ball through these U-shaped objects. I don't remember all the rules or all the details, but yeah, it seems to me that you need to do that on smooth ground. So I don't know. I'm sure I don't have one of those things around the house here. What might I have? I don't know. I might have a badminton set around here somewhere from 60 years ago or so. Don't know where it is though. I think I still got a couple baseball mitts and a couple of balls. My wife and I used to throw a couple balls to each other way back when, but haven't done that in, I don't know, 20 or 30 years or more. Let's see. Yeah, Lake Morton. I know that's somewhere close to me. I can't exactly picture where that is because I don't really go there, at least not knowingly. But I know it's close by. I remember seeing it on an aeronautical chart. It's real close to where I am. Now Lake Sawyer, I can find that for you, but not Morton. Anyway, oh my God, $6,000 for Merlin to fix his RV, 220 volts when it should have only been 110. Oh man, that's a tragedy. That's a lot of darn money. I wish him luck on that. That doesn't. I don't know. I don't know. Life throws these obstacles at you, and you kind of. Sometimes you can't juggle them. Sometimes you have to just flush them down the toilet or something. I don't know. Bob, company coming in. Yeah. So we'll keep that in mind for Saturday. I had some out-of-town company coming in. I was spending a bunch of time trying to get things cleaned up and find where laundry was and all this stuff, towels and bed sheets and all this stuff. Haven't done that for a few years, so that kept me occupied for, man, a week or so, cleaning, removing some stuff, and I know how that can be kind of hectic. Nice to have company, but it's a little bit of work too, unless you're kind of working at it a little bit every week as time goes by, which my wife and I certainly have not been doing. Back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
QO, get an ID here. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Let's go to James, WU7N.
Hey, this is James, WU7N in Northeast Bellevue. How's the audio coming through tonight?
Pretty good.
There, so I guess I'm coming through. Well, I tell you, I found out that a 3-element 6-meter beam pointed the wrong direction works better as a receiving antenna than an antenna that's specifically tuned for 2 meters and 70 centimeters up on a pole off my back deck. Apparently, I'm so close to our receiver site and T site, it doesn't much matter for this net. But for the Monday night Seattle net, the odd thing is on this handheld right here, this handheld, I could pretty much hear everything just crystal clarity from the Capitol Hill transmission site. 706 Mark IIG with a 25-foot feed line going to the 3-element 2-meter 70 centimeter antenna. It just sounded, it was so mushy and scratchy and messed up, I couldn't hardly even get any intelligibility, which I just found that was really strange, because I hear you guys just crystal clear tonight, as I should. I'm, like 7 kilometers away from the T site. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. If anybody has any ideas on that, let me know. 20 to 110 volts, the difference is there. I remember, let's see, a Korean war vet I interviewed once said he was in charge of power, and it was kind of after the worst of the fighting, and so they were trying to put back power lines and things like that. And a lot of the people were refugees, had no place to live. They were literally building little shacks out of whatever they could find. And then to get electric power, they would take wooden poles, tape 2 knives onto them, and run wires down off the knives, and scrape on the wires, and lay the knives up on the wires. Of course, if enough people do this, it starts to load down the line. And they couldn't figure out what was happening, and someone accidentally threw a switch that did something, and I don't remember the exact voltages here, but it was like instead of 400 volts on the line, it turned into 800 volts. And there was someone at the time in one of these newfangled helicopters that was flying over the line looking at it, and said he just saw all these little shacks just go poof, poof, poof. About it, because of course they had to go out to all these people. It's winter. The tail end of that, screaming.
James, you actually are dropping the repeater. It was just kind of going in and out, in and out.
Is back tonight. I hear at least on my receiver, I can hear the digital screaming noise, so that's probably what's doing it. I turn the power way up, so I'll be louder than he will be. This is where I wish I had the directional antenna. Then I definitely would be louder than him. Yeah, and the other time in the 70s in Europe, the difference between 110 and 220, of course, there were transformers that would, very efficiently and safely convert 220 to 110. Or whatever else you wanted to. Some of them were variable, you could set them. But there were also a number of these things that essentially were just dropping resistors in a box. And you plugged them into the wall, and of course the IR drop depends on how much current you drop for, you know, this given resistance. So at first I thought, well, maybe there must be some kind of magic in there that adjusts the resistance to the amount of current you're drawing through it. No. So you can imagine that maybe this worked for something like a little electric radio or something, but if you tried to plug in your coffee pot, it wouldn't work. And now that's okay, but every once in a while one would leak through that was the other way around. That if you plug your radio into it, it's going to just, you know, it's not going to work at all. If you plug your coffee pot into it, it's going to get really hot. And so they just had this blanket prohibition on any of these little dropping resistor gizmos that were just supposed to turn your 110 into 120 plus or minus 50%. I mean, I guess they would work if you had at least enough AC circuit theory to know what you were plugging into them and how much it was pulling. But other than that, I never quite figured out how those things ever could work. Condolences, Bob. I certainly understand your absence next Saturday. We'll muddle along without you. Sorry to hear about your cousin there. And condolences to the RV. My goodness, that sounds like a disaster. And Ron, I don't understand the details. Usually those plugs are coded. I mean, you know, the 220 plug in the wall looks different than a 110 plug in the wall. How did that happen? Maybe you could tell us more details if you know it. This is James, WW7ATS. Let me turn it back to Dave, our net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society.
7N, and we'll get a quick ID here. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Well, here in Lake City, I've got 77 degrees outside. It's really kind of nice. A little bit of cloud action, but outside of that, no smoke at this point, so the wind condition is rather good, or air condition. And I've been watching the Olympics, and I thought was really interesting. They had wind surfboarding, and it's kind of like hydrofoil hooked up to a big parachute to catch the wind and drive the sailboard forward, but then it comes out of the water on a hydrofoil mechanism. So that was kind of interesting to see. But I'm looking forward to Friday night. We're supposed to have breakdancing. Now, if that isn't Olympic material, I don't know what is. So I have to see how that turns out. And let's see, for Merlin, boy, 220 wired into his trailer. I would hope that the electrician has some insurance. It'd be comparable to a little lawsuit or something to pay for the damages of hooking up the wrong wires to the wrong plugs. So that would be kind of disastrous. And I would imagine he is bonded and insured if it's an electrician that they hired. So hopefully they can get some relief financially for that. And outside of that, that's pretty much it. Got a chance to go to the bank today and run a couple of errands outside. And then outside of watching the Olympics, that was about what I did all today. So I'll send it back up to the top to Ron, KD7QKU.
Okay, KD7QKU here again. Well, I don't know if the electrician is even licensed and bonded. Merlin didn't know much about him. He didn't think he was very good, that's for sure. He says everything was labeled, even the breaker box and the plug-in and everything was all labeled 110. So anyway, you were talking about the sailboarding, I guess it's called. Gee, if you ever go down in the Columbia River, a little farther east than Vancouver, I can't say the name of the town down there now. There'll be 100 people out there in the river doing it. It's always windy down through that Columbia Gorge, and it's really a great place to go down there and do that. So I guess the big thing that's going on over here at my house is I have to redo my driver's license. I got a notice, And apparently, after you're 70 years old, you can't do it online. You have to go do it in person in the office. And there's no office in Tacoma, I found out, where I can do it. It just seems amazing. So there's one in Parkland, and there's one in Lakewood, as near as I could tell. And I got a hold of the state and everybody else to try to figure out where they were. And that's what I found, and I called people. So I made an appointment at Lakewood. I guess they're pretty busy, so I made an appointment tomorrow, 1:15, so I go over there tomorrow to renew my driver's license. So it's kind of expensive, you guys, to do it. So to renew my driver's license with an enhanced driver's license, just to do the driver's license, it looks like it's $54, and then if you have an enhanced, it looks like you add $42 to it. So it's going to cost me about $100 to renew my driver's license. I have an enhanced license, and so you can do it for 6 or 8 years. If I do it for 6 years, I'll probably be 90 years old when it expires, and I doubt that they'd renew it again. So I don't know. I guess if I live that long, and if I'm still driving, I'll just drive without a license. How's that sound? Oh well. And yeah, what else? I didn't make any notes down, but anyway. So I'll just turn it back to Dave. This is KD7QKU.
KD7QKU, let's go to Bob, K9PQ in Bottle-Land.
Hang on, let me switch myself in on the video. There we go. Yeah, that's just amazing on the 220. I mean, it sounds like from what you're describing that maybe he connected up the breaker box wrong. Got 220 in where it shouldn't be into the breaker box. That's just, yeah, that I hope he's bonded. That's where that money should be coming from, is that guy. Jim, yeah, I am not a clean-as-you-go person myself either. That's why I kind of have to do a little extra here with my brother coming. And I got curious, and I looked on Google Maps for airports around near Lake Morton. The one that I imagine Ron is seeing the sign for is called Norman Greer Field, and it's really close to Lake Morton. It's actually closer to Lake Morton than Lake Sawyer. So I'm going to guess that's probably not yours. I'm curious what airfield yours is. Let's see. Oh, I just got a text from Lee, so I'll read it after I get off the air and comment when I get back on again. James, yeah, as far as the antenna up on the mast that's not doing well, you know, it's just, these are basic things that you know, but that's the only thing I can think of is, you know, connections and cable, and, you know, you might have some corrosion at a connection somewhere, or your cable might have gone bad, but that's about the only thing I can think it could be. So good luck with that. You know, I've never had an enhanced license. I've always used my passport, but my passport is now expired, so I don't know. I actually want to get my passport renewed. For a while, they had a pilot program going where you could do it online. They stopped that. I don't know if they've started it again, but last time I checked, they stopped it. So I'll probably have to go in or mail it in or something. So I'm actually making a note to myself to do that, because that's one of those out of sight, out of mind things. It could be 2 years before I think. Uh-oh. I wonder, did I time out? Sorry. Okay, I'll send it back. K9PQ.
Thanks for that. And for those doing FL Digi on this repeater, this is a net, voice transmission net in progress for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society currently. We'll be clear of the net at 9 o'clock. Again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. Let's move on down to Jim in 7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Jim, man, 880 volts, shack's going poof. That made me think of something. Did you say that was in Korea? I don't remember for sure if that's where you said, but what it made me think of is in India, right outside our hotel, there was a community of literally shacks, like tin roofs on many of them, but some cardboard, and I could just picture these things, but they were less sophisticated. They didn't have electricity out there. In India, maybe in Korea they did. I don't know, but that just brought back some memories when you mentioned that. Dave, yeah, no smoke out there. It's been a pretty clear day here as well. I actually was not home all day today. I attended a friend's funeral, and we had a funeral and the after party, and we were there for like 7 hours, and they call it 7.5 hours, plus the drive back and forth. So that kind of was the whole day today. But yeah, it was a beautiful day here, and pleasant temperatures, nice and sunny, not a lot of wind, and I certainly did not notice any smoke. Windsurfing, yeah, someone said what they call it. I missed what you said it was, but that made me think of Chandler. He was really fond of windsurfing. He would go somewhere, seems to me, off the Oregon coast, windsurfing a lot. One area in which he was particularly fond. They've got this one Olympic event where there are horses that like dance, and I don't know, I'm kind of scratching my head on that one. The person riding the horse winds up getting a medal, but if the horse that's doing the dancing, it seems to me the horse should get the medal. So I'm a little confounded on that. Ron, driver's license. Yeah, there used to be an office here in Kent as well. I would guess it's still here somewhere, but I'm not 100% sure about that. And I'm not sure the other locations which you mentioned, I'm not sure how close they are to where you live. But yeah, pain in the butt. I would say get an enhanced driver's license. There's going to come a time very soon, maybe a year or so, where in order to get on an airliner for a domestic flight, you're going to need either a passport or an enhanced driver's license. And it seems that if you just have the enhanced driver's license, that way you don't need to worry about carrying your passport with you. I think that would be the thing to do. And I don't know for sure. I would be inclined to get the license renewed for the longest possible period of time, because it's less hassle to have to go renew it again. And the next time you go to renew it, they might raise the rates yet again, so it ultimately would wind up saving you money. Of course, I guess it wouldn't if you don't if you don't live long enough to recoup the money. But let me reset. So that's my thought on that. And let's see. Yeah, the last time I renewed my driver's license, I had to go in person as well. I think what they really wanted, more than anything, is to give you an eye test, just to check your vision. Maybe there's a little bit more to it. I don't know. Maybe they want to see that you can walk in and out. But anyway, that's my thought on that. Bob? Yeah. Norman Greer Memorial Airport. It used to be called Crest Air Park, and so it's one and the same, and that's the place. Also, renewing passports online. I renewed my passport earlier this year. I don't remember which month it was. Maybe it was March or April of this year, but I was able to do it online, and that was a relatively hassle-free way to do it. So I know there was a period of time when they were not doing it online anymore, but maybe they changed their stance on that. I don't know the way it is today, but it's worth investigating. It would save a whole lot. Okay, renewing online, I did have to mail my passport in, and I had to mail something in, but it's not like I had to go meet with anyone, so let me put it that way. It was relatively pain-free. Cost a little bit of money, but everything costs money nowadays. And it's going to get worse, I think. Anyway, back to you, Dave, N7QO.
N7QO, let's go to James, WW7N.
Yeah, so how's the audio coming through now? I've got quite a bit of power going into the vertical omnidirectional antenna, so I would imagine it's pretty good. It's actually getting my monitor to roll a little bit. Bob, I got my passport redone just at kind of the end of the COVID troubles. And one thing, though, I had a friend that got his renewed just right in the middle of the COVID, or two-thirds of the way through COVID. And he said all these offices you go to are outsourced, and they had totally different rules about masks, vaccinated, no vaccinated, whatever. So at least you don't have to deal with all that nonsense anymore. He ended up driving up to the north end, which is where you are already, and said that service was excellent. He just waltzed in, and they, took his money, which they were always happy to do. And, next thing you know, there was a brand new passport in the envelope. If you want, let me know, and I'll ask him specifically which office he went to, because he said the service was great. I had no idea if the same people are working there or now or not, but it is up where you live, somewhere up there, because he's way down in Kent. He actually drove all the way up there because all the ones in Seattle and the ones down here were all demanding, you shave your head and you get a vaccine and you wear a mask and you had to wear, red, white, and blue underwear. I mean, it was just ridiculous, all these things that you were supposed to do. And I said, well, gee, how do they know if you've done all that or not? Why, how are you not just lying about all this stuff? He says, I don't care, I don't want to know. He just drove up to the ones that didn't have the requirements, and that's how, he did it. Caught mine before it completely expired and ran out of time, so I did mine, I believe, completely combination of online and in the mail, so that's interesting information to me that they don't allow online. And I think I did most of it online, and then just something came in the mail. I may have done it online and had to send them something in the mail, and then they got something back in the mail. That would make sense because they would want to see my old one. But, so maybe they don't have that anymore. That's annoying if you actually have to go somewhere now to get that done. But there might be good reasons for that. Funny story of the evening here. I was watching a video, a very well-produced video of all the things of the 80s and 90s that used to be, but just don't exist anymore, like fax machines and pagers and poofy hair and the video stores, all that kind of stuff. Well, one of the things was phone books. We don't think about it much anymore, but somebody was putting a little phone book in a plastic bag on my doorknob. It seems like only yesterday, but I'm sure it must have been 10, 15 years ago they were still doing that. That must have been the last place they were doing it in the entire United States, because I think by then most people were getting their phone numbers all sorts of other ways. But what was funny about this video is they were talking about phone books and what they used to be and how they used to work. But then at the bottom of the video, as is often the case on YouTube, they had little chapter markers, so you could go straight to something that interested you. And someone had spelled phone book, F-O-A-M, book. So whoever, and it is often the case with these very well-produced videos, a team of people will actually do the video. It's not one person. And so whoever was on the team that was put their little index together at the bottom of the video probably didn't really understand that phone was P-H-O-N-E, phone book, and they spelled it F-O-A-M, and we're wondering, was the books foam? Or what was about these books that, you know, made them squishy and soft or something like that? I thought that was funny, a little generational gap there. The other thing that was interesting about this video is I have almost every one of those things except one or two in my house today. I've got VCRs, I've got a camcorder that needs repair. I've got 2 broken camcorders. If you want them, let me know. And let's see, what were some other things? I mean, there was just a few things there. I don't have the big pads on the shoulders, you know, the women were wearing. And I guess I didn't have a particular type of book that kids were, I guess it was big in the 80s for organizing academic stuff, nor do I remember that one. That must have been more regionalized. It's true. I still have a dot matrix printer. I'm not sure if the printer ribbon is completely dried out, but I still have one of those. I've got the VCR, I've got the floppy disks. Yeah, it's amazing what I still have around the house. Maybe it's time to start letting go. This is James, WW7N in Northeast Bellevue, 20 minutes to the top of the hour. Let me turn it back to our net control. Dave, take it away.
WU7N, thanks for that. And again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Oh my, talk about obsolete things. Used to go to a payphone, but now you got one in your pocket. You're paying for a cell phone service. So, I don't know. I guess the payphone is with us for life that way, at least if you want to communicate. So that's kind of interesting. And driver's license, I did that a couple of months back, and I have an enhanced driver's license, and then also I had to go in for that, and so I was ready to do the vision test. The last license I had, boy, they drilled me over and over again on vision, and I passed it with flying colors, but the guy was a real schmuck that was giving the eye test. So this time I went in, sign in at a desk, you go given a number, you go sit down in a chair, and I hadn't even sat down in the chair. They called my number and what booth to go to. Went over there, the guy says, hello, let's see your old license. Gave him my old license. He says, oh, okay. You want the enhanced? I said, yes. He says, do you want the extended? I said, yes. He said, okay, look into the camera, take your picture. And that was it. So there was no test or anything else. It was just, they wanted your money and said goodbye. So a week later it arrived in the mailbox. It said it'd take 4 to 6 weeks to deliver your license. And I think it was less than 7 days it arrived in the mail. So got that out of the way. But who knows? That's the way it goes. And if Ron does not have an enhanced driver's license and wants one, there's a lot of criteria you have to go through. You have to have a copy of your birth certificate, and you got to have information to your mother's maiden name. What was the else? Your old driver's license, and a light bill or a utility bill to prove where you live, and then they'll issue you the extra issue on the enhanced driver's license. But it's a one-time thing, and then every time you renew, they just renew it. So no problem with that. Well, this is Dave, KD7CYM, and I see that Wade has joined us, W7ITL. Wade, what say you?
Oh, hello guys. I didn't hear much about what you guys were talking about before. I just heard about the driver's license and how Dave had such a hard time getting his license the first time and then went in, and I guess he got it pretty easy. Yeah, I got an enhanced driver's license as well. Yeah, one-time deal, and then you just renew every time. I just got back from California. Pretty fun. Went to the Pinball Museum. I think you guys saw that in the last one. I got a new Mac. I got one for, it was just a broken one that I'm working on right now. So it's called an MDD, or Mirador G4. Looks like it has a bad power supply, I think. So I'm going to try a new power supply if I can find one, and then we'll see how it goes and see if I get it back to life. Yeah, $10, no big deal. It costs more for the parts than than the $10. So I'm happy because I got a new case, because my other G4 it's got a pretty trashed case. This one's supposedly, hopefully it will work. So yeah. So let's see. My daughter came over for dinner today. So it was fun to see her, and she's downstairs right now. Let me see. Don't anything else really to talk about other than I'm not sure if I'll see you guys on Saturday, but I'll try. Maybe you're on if you want to go. We can go over to the radio club on Saturday if I'm here. Let me know if you want to do that. Let's see, anything else? That's pretty much it. I'll turn it back to Dave, our net control. This is W7ITL. Wade in Tacoma.
W7ITL, thanks for that. And again, this is Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. Well, Ron had mentioned pulled pork, and I did that again today. I had barbecued pulled pork, and oh man, you just can't go wrong. I got the Costco smoked pulled pork, and boy, it's so much easier to do. There's 2 bags of it that are about, a little bit bigger than a pint bags, and all you do, put them in the microwave for 2 minutes, turn it over, give it another 2 minutes, and wait 2 minutes, take it out of the bag, and it just falls apart with a couple of forks. That's all it is to prepare it, and just mix in some barbecue sauce. That was so much better than spending 20 hours out at the barbecue pit, and about every, hour and a half or 2 hours you go spray down the pulled pork, check the temperature, and then put a few more pieces of wood in to smoke it, and like I say, 20 hours later, finally you get it out, you can pull it and use it. So, but it does give you a bigger volume of smoked pork when you do a couple of pork shoulders at the same time in a smoker. So anyway, but the ease of operations, thanks to Costco and their great meticulous cookers wherever they are. So that's about it. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. So I'll send it back up to Ron, KD7QKU.
Okay, KD7QKU again. Well, yeah, no, we've had enhanced driver's license for many years. We used to have a passport. I don't know. I might have used it once, but that was about all. It's 12 miles from here over to Lakewood, and then 12 miles back, so it's about 25 miles round trip. Phone book, that was kind of a funny thing. I talked to a guy named Kim every morning on the phone. He and his wife had a motorhome. We used to travel together, and his wife passed away. 3 or 4 years ago now, and so he was lonesome, and I started calling him in the morning, and then it just kind of carried on. So we talked every morning, usually for about half an hour. And he said, when I was talking about trying to find a place, he said, look it up in the phone book. and I said, we don't have phone books. We haven't had them for years. And he said, well, I got one. And I said, it'd be interesting to see what year it is. He keeps everything, so he's probably got an old, phone book someplace. He never did necessarily find it and tell me what year it was, but yeah, he said, look it up in the phone book. And I said, it ain't possible. And Wade, if you're listening, sure, if you're going to the Ham Club, you want to pick me up, yeah, I'm probably be willing to go. I don't know what else I'm doing on Saturday. Oh, Wade, by the way, too, we've been talking about trying something else other than, what is it, jitsit or whatever we're using now. So I think if you're listening and you have any idea what else we could try, I think Bob would be glad to hear that. So that's about it over here. So, I had 70 degrees when I looked a minute ago. I don't know what it is now, but it's nice and cool here. Back to net, KD7QKU.
QKU, let's go to Bob, K9PQ and Bottle.
I have lots of notes. Let's see. First of all, as far as the replacement for Jitsi, if you do have new ideas, Wade, that's fine, but I know we already checked out Skype. We might do that again. I think I have a few ideas. What we really need to do is just test them. So I may be in touch with you, Wade, if you have some time, or James, or anyone else that has some time that wants to do a little bit of experimenting with video, just to see, which ones are stable and which ones, are easy to use and all of that good stuff. Okay, so let's see. I have lots and lots of notes. Where do I start? Phone books. I got phone books within the last 10 years, I think, but it was just like a local little Yellow Pages thing, and they went straight to the recycle, and it was sad. I think they finally forced them to stop because I think those people would still keep sending them, just like all the junk mail we still continue to get. Dave, thanks for that Costco smoked pulled pork recommendation. I've seen it there. I may have tried it years ago. I don't remember, but I haven't tried it recently, and I have to admit, for me personally, Costco can be hit and miss with their pre-cooked, pre-packaged stuff. Some of it's fantastic. Some of it just doesn't work for me. So I will definitely give that a try. I did not know that Chandler was a windsurfer. That's cool. And probably where he was talking about was the Columbia River Gorge. That would be the place where all the windsurfers go. What else do I have here? Oh, Jim, you never mentioned if that Norman Greer field is yours, or if that's just the one that's close to Lake Morton. I don't think you mentioned that. And somebody was talking about horses dancing in the Olympics. I think that's dressage. I've known that's sort of a rich people sport where, I will just say, I won't generalize, but the one person I knew that did dressage was the wife of the CEO of the company I was working for. So that gives you an idea of the kind of people that do dressage. James, you mentioned some kind of a book or something. Could it have been Day Planner? I know Day Planners, before everything went electronic, that was a real popular thing in the business world. You'd have your Day Planner book and you'd have everything written down so you could be all organized. As far as the VCR and the broken camcorders and all of that, if you feel like you need to get rid of it, I would just say you do you, James. You do you. Whatever it is you want to do, you go for it. And I would like to know about that passport. I'm going to break here so I don't time out again. I would like to know about the North End passport. Maybe you could text me or email me or something if you find out that info. And as far as passport, that was the number one thing I want to say, passports. The one that was online, the one you guys are all describing, I'm pretty sure is still around, has been around. The one that I was describing that was the pilot program, it was online only. You didn't have to send anything in. You just did everything online. You took a picture at your, you took a picture yourself, and it just couldn't be a selfie, they said, but you provided your own picture, and then they would take everything from there and send you the passport. So I thought about it, and as a number of things I do in my life, I thought, well, maybe later, and then the pilot program went away. So I think in-person or mail-in is the way for me. And as you say, the mail-in has some kind of an online component to it. I think you set it all up online and then send in your passport. What else have I got here? I thought I had one other thing. Just with the Olympics. This is sort of a get-off-my-lawn comment. I think the Olympics should be limited to human-powered events with no music. I think those should be the base criteria to be able to get into the Olympics. Okay, I'll send it back in. I thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Let's go again to Wade, W7ATS.
All right. Well, I'll start off with comment on Bob's passport thing. I ended up getting in on the pilot program, and actually I used the selfie with my iPhone, and I took it just no problem. They just want a background that's uniform, and you can't have your arm in there. So yeah, it worked out good. I got my passport, I think last year. I renewed it. This is my second or third one I've gotten. Yeah, pretty easy process. I'm not sure if they brought it back yet, where it's all online, but that was really slick. I think it took a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks or something like that. I don't remember. I didn't pay attention to the time that it passed, but it didn't seem like it was very long for it to come in the mail. And the new passport, it's a little different. It's got the same color, and it's got the little outer sleeve that's blue, but it's got this hard plastic in there, and it's a little different. A little hard plastic card in there it's got your picture, and it's got like watermarks all over your picture that have like little pictures of you. That if you look really close, it's just like repeated over and over, so you can't copy it. At least that's what I remember. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I would suggest try it again if you haven't tried. Maybe they turned it back on. My wife didn't get in on the program, and I told her to go. She kind of forgot about it. Let's see what else. Got a couple things going on tomorrow. I got to go to the sleep study place to pick up my new sleep machine. I got it for about 5 years now, so I'm getting a new one. And then I'm doing I'm going to get a massage, so I'm pretty busy tomorrow. But then I'm working more after I get back. Nice thing where you can be a little flexible on what you do when you do it. There was something else I was going to say. Yeah, hopefully you guys get around to me. I don't remember what I was going to tell you. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll turn it back to Dave. This is W7ATS. Back to Nat.
7ATS. Let's go to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Yeah, Jim, phone book, that is funny. Having said that, I do occasionally get a phone book. It's a smaller one. I'm guessing maybe about 5 by 8 or 6 by 8. Maybe once a year, someone will just toss one of those things onto my driveway. They're not very complete or comprehensive. I think they're tossing them out mostly for advertising. So I kind of miss phone books, actually. Let's see. Wade, welcome back. We did miss you there. Thanks for calling us from where you were at the conference. Dave, Costco, pulled pork. Yeah, I love it. That's my speed. Bob, my wife and I like it, and it's definitely a lot more hassle than smoking your own. Bob, yeah, Norman Greer Airport, that is my place. Used to be called Crest Air Park. Probably most people still call it that, but Crest Air Park and Norman Greer are one and the same, and that's where I am. Day planner, you mentioned day planner. Strange, my wife still gets one of those occasionally. I'm not sure who sends it to her, but she'll get one in the mail maybe once a year from someone. Don't know who. And let's see, Ron saying something about temperature. Yeah, I've got 70, well, it just went down to 74 degrees here. Pleasant day. Let's see, coming up on the witching hour here. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
Let's go to James, WW7N.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you. I didn't know Norman Greer and Crest Air Park were one and the same. Jim, I didn't know that. You'll have to tell us someday who Norman Greer is. It sounds like someone who would be right next to the Bates Motel, but I don't know that name. I don't know if I've got something close to you or not, Bob, but I put the City of Edmonds link there, and I don't know if that's close to you or a million miles away or what it is to you relative to where you're at. I figured it was a short distance, but it looks like Thursday is the only day they can help you, so you jump on it tomorrow. That'll be an incentive to do it, from what I saw on the page there. Yeah, no, it wasn't daytimers in this thing they were talking about. It was some kid's version of a daytimer that I guess if you were in school, like, you know, junior high or high school or something, I guess they were very popular in the 80s. I took lots of classes in the 1980s, but we were all in spiral notebooks and 3-ring binders, so I don't remember this particular product. But apparently it came and went as a popular, cool kids thing to have. Yeah, daytimers, I remember I was addicted to my daytimer in the 90s. My whole professional life ran around daytimers. And, of course, we were all into computers, too, so the question was constantly coming up, how do you back up your daytimer, since it wasn't a matter of, you know, pushing a button and going to bed and waking up the next morning and seeing that the backup had been completed. And the other problem I had, of course, that was when I was starting to get into audit and control, was people were putting just way too much in their daytimers. Little did we know a decade later that people would have the whole keys to the kingdom on their laptops unencrypted and would leave them in their cars to be stolen. We thought daytimers were a problem. Wow, we didn't know what was coming, did we? No point of the evening. I see we're almost out of time here. I've got a gizmo on my cell phone. It's an iPhone. And you can set an option in it, so every time I walk into my house, I get a little thing on the upper left-hand corner that says AT&T Wi-Fi. So my cellular phone calls are using my Wi-Fi in my home, which I think is a fantastic idea because it takes the load off the cell site. I couldn't find a way. You can disable that so you're on the cell site no matter what, but I couldn't find a way to, like, pick and choose. Like, I want to be on, you know, anybody's Wi-Fi. Maybe you can't be on anybody's Wi-Fi. Maybe you have to be on your own Wi-Fi for this. I don't know. If anybody knows about that, let me know. Bob, you might have connections on that. But I think it's a great idea. I'm just wondering how I can get more control over it. Also, if you're dealing with state agencies, I was, just for fun, I mean, I knew I was never going to get around to me when I hit 2 hours. I was on hold for a state agency today for 2 hours, and then I gave up. And then I called another state agency thinking maybe that they could help me, the insurance office of the insurance commissioner. They have adapted. They said, well, tell you what, we know who you need to talk to, so we'll take your name and number, and they'll call you back sometime in the next 4 days. And I said, that is a much better system than having people on hold for 2 hours, when after 2 hours, get real, they're never going to get to you, right? If you're on hold 2 hours anyway, forget it. You're never going to get picked up on. So she laughed at that and said, yeah, we're trying to adapt and do the best we can. So that's something you might want to remember if you're dealing with any governmental entities these days. if you're on hold for more than 2 hours, I would say try a different agency and see if you can just get your name on the list to have them call you back. It worked for me, or we'll see if it works for me. See if I get a call in the next 4 days. So that's it. I guess we're at the witching hour. This is WW7N. I'm going to turn back to Dave to close the net for the evening.
Thank you, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. We're going to terminate the nets here momentarily. I'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 for our nets held Wednesdays and Saturdays. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, good evening all. This is Dave, KD7CYM.